I want to talk about ETH Denver because we just went to Denver and like dove into, I'm going to call it crypto mania, which I think is a fun perspective. I don't want to dive into Web3. A lot of folks are not necessarily like into crypto or that sort of thing per se. But this was a wild experience. How was your time in Denver, Andrew? What did you learn about?
I had a blast. It reminded me of a lot of tech conferences I've been to, but turned up a bit higher.
Yeah, they threw you on main stage last minute, which was really fun.
Yeah, I saw a lot of people I knew.
Yeah, a lot of the Yang Gang, former Yang Gang, current Yang Gang, whatever it was, have gone into Web3, which has been fun.
Yeah, so I had a blast.
Yeah.
Enjoyed it immensely. Met a lot of tremendous entrepreneurs, a lot of young people. There's a lot of energy and youth. So it makes you optimistic about the future of the space, because if you have that much ingenuity and energy, then some good things are going to develop.
For those of you that maybe missed last week's episode, or last Thursday's episode, we started something called Lobby 3, and the idea is to get the community of folks interested in crypto, NFTs, and Web3 together to advocate and lobby in DC for what Web3 can do, specifically around eradicating poverty. Now, you tweeted about this. We're pushing it, and we're going to be pushing the next couple of weeks because we want to build this up. Political Twitter did not understand this, and I wanted to address something because some of our audience is part of that world. You said, and I agree with this statement, is that Web3 can or has the best potential of any tool we have to eradicate poverty. It can eradicate poverty. And man, Blue Check Twitter was like, that doesn't make any sense. You know nothing, right? So I wanted to ask you, in your eyes, what do you mean when you say it can eradicate poverty? How would that work? What ideas are you looking at? What excites you about that?
You have a space in an industry that now has a market cap collectively of over $2 trillion that did not exist 7 years ago.
Right.
And I've met now hundreds of people who've had their lives transformed economically, including a lot of creators who were producing things and were having a hard time accessing the market, because the media market and the art market in particular are very, very narrow and institutionalized. But through NFTs, they've been able to command incomes that they never could have imagined. You can have mechanics where a creator gets paid for a resale in a way that was never possible before.
Yep.
You start talking to these folks and you realize, wait a minute, like, you know, some of you have the equivalent of a universal basic income. Some of you have the equivalent of these kind of social economies that I was writing about back in 2017, 2018 that have come alive. This is, to me, one of the most profound opportunities, maybe the most profound opportunity to fight poverty that's on the table right now. I mean, what are the other major opportunities to fight poverty? Lobby Congress for the enhanced child tax credit, which we're doing. But one of the cases we're making right now is that DC is kind of broken and dysfunctional. If that's your situation, like, you still try and push, you know, and then you try to reform the system. But you also look around and say, wait, like, there are whole new economies that are emerging that are being enabled by digital currencies and other innovations. So let's try and make the most of that. Yep. And if you have a space that's worth trillions of dollars, one of my personal ambitions by coming in and saying, look, we have to demonstrate that this can be used to benefit the broader public than maybe it's perceived to, or maybe than it is right now. Let's take $1 billion and fight some poverty with it, and then show people what can be done. I mean, $1 billion would be a very small fraction of what's happening in Web3. Yep. So I'm pumped about it.
So, I mean, an example is if you record a song and it's an NFT now, anytime it's played, you could get the pennies yourself instead of funneling it through Spotify or the record labels, which you're talking about giving money to the masses instead of the few, right? Instead of the institutional company.
Yeah, Web3 could be the middleman killer. Yeah. And right now, the middlemen are the biggest companies in the history of the world. Yeah. Sort of, for in some of the cases, you know what I mean?
In a number of cases. So we're going to do an AMA on Friday the 25th. This is tomorrow if you're listening to this. When it comes out on Thursday, with Scott Santons, who's been on this podcast before, but he's working on a number of projects that are versions of UBI in the blockchain. But why, like, okay, Zach, it's tough to get on the blockchain. How do we do that? But here's what's exciting. I'm excited about, and I want to pick your brain on this too, because you kind of talked about this when you ran for mayor, and it was in your book, War on Normal People, about digital social credits, which I was like, this doesn't make any sense, or this is too crazy. But the concept is, if you took a neighborhood that needed an economic lift and you said, hey, here is a, Hartford, let's say Hartford, Connecticut, where I'm from, Hartford Coin. And if you spend it in Hartford, it's worth 10 times, you can return it back for 10 cents on the dollar. So you get 10x of what you ever pay for, what we give you, right, in terms of dollars. But if you spend it in Hartford, in these businesses or restaurants or whatever local stuff, it's worth 10 times more than a dollar, right? And you can get it back, and you can create economic value for more than what you paid for. And you can do that on the blockchain because other folks that live in Hartford would therefore want it. There's supply and demand. You can control it without having to do all the formal currency problems we have in terms of creating new currencies within the United States or globally. Talk more about that, or how it would work, or if that excites you too. Hopefully Scott will talk about it too on our Discord on Friday.
Oh yeah, I'm super excited about it because one of the primary things you can do with the blockchain is have what's called smart money, where it changes properties based upon the type of place you spend it,
or who has it, right?
Yeah, like that there's total transparency attached to it, so it's not it's not as prone to corruption and the rest of it. If you wanted to try and rejuvenate neighborhoods, some of them have already adopted local currencies with some positive results. Ithaca, I believe, had its own currency. There are different towns that have done this. In my view, in an ideal world, eventually you reach a point where it's plug and play, where you can have a local currency. Some of the things that I'm most concerned about, right now you have this winner-take-all economy. The value is flowing all up into the cloud to Amazon. You're going to decimate downtowns and small businesses. Already, right? And now, if you live in a particular town, you know what you get told a lot? Buy local. And you're like, okay, let me do that.
Walk around Brooklyn, they all say buy local.
Yeah, and then that works on you every once in a while, but then generally speaking, you just take the path of least resistance.
Yeah.
So what the heck does the future look like? And the future looks like, frankly, more and more winner-take-all economics, unless you had a way to genuinely reward and reinforce and incentivize these behaviors that we talk about, but we don't actually reward you for doing.
Correct. You have no incentive right now, unless you're either super rich or you have to be super rich, I think, to start your own boutique fashion store in Brooklyn right now. You're not going to have the foot traffic. You're going to have all the expenses, and then you'd be competing with global conglomerates and people that can just buy it while sitting on their couch at home, right? So if you added economic incentive to folks like, hey, yeah, you can buy on Amazon, right? But if you buy here locally, you get 10 times the value, and then.
Or if you volunteer at the local nonprofit, you get this currency that you can then use in the local shops downtown, and then you actually can start to build a more robust local economy.
Yep.
In whole new imaginative ways.
Yeah. Managed locally instead of the federal government being like, this is what's valuable. It's like the people of Brooklyn, whatever city you're.
This is one of the frustrations I have about our system, man. It's like, it's like all of the economic flows head in a particular direction. Let's say to Amazon, just to keep things simple in a way that everyone can understand. And then you'll have a bunch of folks, essentially like paying lip service to the other thing. It's not going to work. And we talk about it just to make ourselves feel better. So, you just have to look at the actual economic system. It'll lead you to a predictable outcome. Now, the great thing is that you can build whole new local economic systems. I mean, this could become like a nonprofit executives or museum executive or city planner or like local officials' dream come true.
You're gonna redo cities faster than you ever could have before.
Yeah, the frustration I have is like we're essentially the people who are put in that position, and you and I know this as people who ran nonprofits. It's like they're like standing on top of a sinking ship, but all their economic incentives are just to like talk about, we can if we all come together, we'll be able to create the whole voices.
We need to
even though. And hey, I'm not getting paid enough, and like all I do is sing for my supper so that my organization can stay afloat until I'm out and the world's going to disintegrate around me. Well, that's.
And meanwhile, what are they solving? Nothing, right? Like they talk.
So what you need is different economic systems that can be adopted at a localized level, and the blockchain and Web3 are potentially a very powerful way to do that.
Yes. what we're trying to do is that it's new, it's exciting, but it is the Wild West right now. It does need like sensible regulation and oversight, because if done wrong, there's scams, there's done wrong. Like, you don't want to hurt the people who are already vulnerable, right? With bad systems that are ineffectively managed, but you also want to empower the right people to set them up. So that is the point of Lobby 3, to figure out ideas like this that can get people banked for the first time, give them economic incentives locally, redo our broken system. And we need the federal government and our state governments to really understand this, be educated on this, know what to advocate for. We need the left, in my opinion, to be championing the human side of this. Right now, they're like, crypto, meh. And that's destructive to me.
Well, the left, in theory, is for broader distribution.
Everything we just said, yeah.
It's for transparency. It's for trying to dislodge some of the megacorps. And Web3 could be a path to these things. It's just that most folks in the left have something of a skepticism or mistrust of technology and innovation at this point, unfortunately, which is something that, I'd love to help change.
And I get that. We're trying to change it. That's what Lobby 3 is doing. So if you want to check it out, we're going to be with Scott tomorrow in our Discord. You can find the Discord. It's on lobby3.io, or on Andrew's Twitter profile. You can just click the link. And that'll be in the afternoon, and it should be up for a while too. So anyway, super exciting. We start building this community on Monday upcoming, which is crazy. We have by the time you got this, we're gonna be close to 4,000 or 5,000 people in the Discord and growing, which is super exciting. We've got this whole new community. If
you're into Web3, join us. If you're not into Web3, maybe use this opportunity
check it out.
Check
it out Friday.
Or you can ignore it. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, it's as long as your friends in crypto know about it, you should be okay. There's enough voices there that are excited about this that we can get behind it.
Yeah. Hopefully we'll make it obvious a little bit later.
That's true. That's one of the things we'll work on.